Good morning. Ed Bussey, I'm the CEO of Oxford Science Enterprises. Thanks Charlie, Jim and the GCV team for giving us the opportunity to share some of the incredible work that we and our portfolio companies are doing in Oxford. And you'll hear later on this morning from our colleagues in Cambridge and Manchester as well as part of a panel. There are many strengths in the UK, and there are some weaknesses. One of the things the UK does in a way that really outstrips the global market is the quality of science and research coming out of our universities. The UK dominates the global university rankings. I think 4 of the top 10 universities in the world are UK universities, and that's reflective, as I say, of the science and technology that is emerging from those incredible institutions. If I quote one of my Gulf shareholders, Ed, you are sat on our equivalent of Gulf oil. And I think there's a lot of truth in that, and I'm here today to share with you what we see as a really exciting opportunity for CVCs to engage specifically in the university spin-out ecosystem. This is our mission. We're obviously here to deliver a financial return for our shareholders. We're a financial business. But actually, the reason I've taken on this opportunity 2 years ago, and I speak for all of my team, the reason we come into work at OSC and we feel so passionately about what we're doing is that we're genuinely building companies that are trying to solve the world's greatest challenges. And that isn't just a marketing strapline that I'm throwing about all over the place. If you look at our portfolio and you think about every single major global problem, we will have at least one company trying to solve it, whether it's a vaccine for cancer, or the first generation of electric engines for passenger jets, or fusion power, or rare earth minerals. We've got companies now with commercial applications of sometimes decades of research that we think we can build into extremely valuable companies. What is OSE? We're an independent company in which the university has a 5% non-dilutable golden share. We're backed by about 75 shareholders, a mix of pension funds, so Aviva, L&G, M&G, etc. Some sovereign wealth funds, Singapore, Qatar, Oman, etc. We have some institutional financial investors on board, and we have some corporates, Google being an example, and a number of family offices, all who share the mission that we're on, say, to build companies that are going to solve major global problems. What do? We look for the most advanced science and technology emerging in the labs around Oxford, but also the innovation clusters at Harwell and Culham, so robotics, space, fusion power. Science and technology that we believe we can commercialize in the form of a company that could grow to a value of north of £1 billion. We're building about 10 companies a year, and we're looking to lift that up, that's on average, and we're looking to lift that up to 20 companies a year. So yes, we're an investment company, but just picking up on the theme from the last panel, arguably we're also a venture builder. And we're doing that across life sciences, quantum, AI, robotics, space, climate, ag tech, etc. If my colleagues from the other universities don't mind me indulging a little bit on Oxford, I'll come back to the partnerships we have with them in a second, but we are building companies off the shoulders of this. 73 Nobel laureates in Oxford. When I go out for lunch, I've been there for just under 2 years. I'll walk down the street to go and get my sandwich. I will pass on my way to lunch the Nobel Prize winner in this. I'll be waiting in the lunch queue, standing next to somebody who has another world-leading paper that's just come out the prior week in that. I'm walking back to the office. The entire ecosystem, it has pulled in an incredible mix of people from all over the world who are trying to solve major global problems and are right at the cutting edge of science. And it's that science which is funded by nearly £1 billion. It's the largest investment of research funding in the UK, backed by £1 billion of investment. Those are the shoulders on which we are building companies. Let me bring this alive for you a little bit. couple of companies on here. So Barinthus, top left, used to be known as Vaccitech, an OSE company, developed the very first COVID vaccine, which was licensed out to AstraZeneca, done in months, but off the back of years of research. Bottom right, Alloyed, developed some incredible technology using AI to develop completely novel metal alloys, working with Boeing, NASA, Google, Meta. A business has a particular requirement for a particular material, this sort of heat resilience, this sort of cold resilience, this weight, this cost. Injected into the system, outcomes 2.3% manganese, 2.7% zinc, whatever the formulation is, and it can then build and design the alloy for a very specific, unique application. Incredible company, already generating tens of millions of revenue on an ARR basis and growing at 50% year on year. That company's challenge is it's got so many markets it could go after, it's going to need to focus. Oxford Ionics, off to the right there, some of you will have seen the news last week. We're extremely proud to have announced on Monday last week, the first unicorn acquisition of one of our companies. We've been in existence for just over 9 years, so the very first spin-outs we started building in 2015, 2016, and that first generation of coming companies are now coming through to extremely exciting valuation inflection points. Oxford Ionics was bought on Monday last week, subject to regulatory approval over the next few months, for over $1 billion by a US company called IonQ. IonQ is going to be leading the technology out of Oxford. The Oxford Ionics team is going to be heading up the global technology strategy for the combined group, and it's a massive endorsement for the quality of science, the world-leading science that we're building our companies off the back of. And then just outside here, I think today we have Ascension amongst others. I'm not allowed to have a favorite child in the portfolio. We have many exciting businesses, but Ascension, just on the second column there, doing something completely groundbreaking in the area of rare earth minerals. The only company with the capability that it has to identify and extract this really unique and super important, with everything happening geopolitically at the moment, super important asset. Those of you who are interested, please go and speak to Moto, who's outside. I'm very happy to share the exciting business that he's building. Needless to say, sat on this incredible opportunity, we have and are drawing in a huge number of top-tier investors into our ecosystem. At last count, more than 300 who along with us have invested now north of £2.5 billion into this portfolio in the last 10 years. And we're extremely proud of that. And I'm going to show on the next slide, we're just warming up. We're also very proud to have some CVCs in that mix as well. I won't go through everybody on here, but BP Ventures in Snowfox, Chevron in OQC, Sony in Quantum Motion. But we feel like we are scraping the surface of the CVC opportunity, from your benefit and also from ours. And to be frank, the benefit from our point of view is revenue. Commercial traction obviously is the best way to, I'm a founder, last two decades I've been building business. I know the best way to fund my business is through revenue. And so CVCs have the potential to accelerate the commercial viability of our companies. That's an important thing. The second one is getting that market validation of the science. The CVCs in the room have a really beneficial role to play in our portfolio from those two respects, quite apart from obviously the capital. The time to do this is now. What I'm showing you here is, the Oxford Science Enterprise is not going to take all the credit for this, but you can see in the last 10 years an explosion in the number of spin-outs with the most advanced science and tech in this ecosystem. And by the way, you could show this graph for Cambridge, you could show this graph for Manchester, who you'll hear from later. This isn't just an Oxford story, this is a national story. You're seeing an explosion in high-quality businesses that are going to make fundamental differences to entire industries. The other reason for the now is that it's taken 9, 10 years to really figure out the pathway to translate that science from the lab into a standalone company. This is not easy. There are some challenges around building the right team of talent. There are challenges around getting the financing model. This is not an issue of just dishing out checks. You need to build the company. And there's a lot, obviously, for those of you in the room who are involved in venture building or building your own businesses, you know that is a difficult challenge. And so we put a lot of effort into that venture building piece, but we've cracked the code. We know how to do this, and now we're looking to build the pipeline from 10 up to 20, as I say. And we've delivered that sort of 200% growth, but as I say, we feel there is plenty more to come. What's our competitive edge? We build companies, hands-on. 2, we have 60 people on the ground, partly because we do the venture building, we know that's a critical piece, but also because the most exciting opportunities don't come through the tech transfer office in every case. Actually, the most exciting opportunities come from joining the dots between departments that might not otherwise ever speak to each other. Geological services speaking to computer science science talking to diagnostics. And the way we do that is through what we call entrepreneurs in residence. So they are proven founders, exited CEOs who we bring back into the ecosystem. But being on the ground, walking the corridors, being in the labs, that's where we see the most exciting spin-out opportunities. This is a long-term game. We are long-term capital providers. It takes 12 to 15 years on average to take a business from the lab to exciting valuation inflection point. Oxford Ionics managed to do it in 6, and you're going to get some of these outliers. But this is really a 10 to 15 year play, and we are a balance sheet investor with that investment strategy, looking after our founders and our companies from the lab all the way through to exit. As I said, we're sat on some of the most advanced science on the planet. We're very aligned with government strategy. One of the things that has really shifted in the last 12 months, and we're working with DCIT, with the Treasury, with DBT, with the MOD, a quarter of our companies are dual-use companies working in areas of national security. There is a real push now to build out sovereign capabilities, whether it's around quantum or rare earth minerals. And Oxford Science Enterprises and my other colleagues in the other university ecosystems are right bang center in this mission to build out really deep UK capabilities in these areas. And obviously, we have a special relationship with the university. We have first sight of pretty much everything that is coming out of the university and its labs. So we'd love to partner with as many CVCs as possible. If you want an over-the-horizon view of the technologies that will disrupt or will transform entire industries, these are the places to be. We are looking at some technology that when I go home and I tell my wife, it sounds like science fiction, but it is coming out of these ecosystems. If the UK is going to build its first £1 trillion company, it will come out of one of these ecosystems. There are 2, potentially 3 ways we like to work with CVCs. Some, like a Google Ventures, have invested directly in OSE, and they have access and spread across the entire asset class, 127 and rising companies. And then there are others that will do that, but then invest on an individual deal-by-deal basis with us. And then we have the pool of CVCs who sit alongside us, who will work with us, as say, on an opportunity-by-opportunity basis. We are very happy to work on any of those models. The in brackets sort of 3 is that where we have a CVC as a shareholder, one of the things we're quite keen to explore is our sponsored EIR model, our sponsored entrepreneur in residence, where we partner up on an individual and we co-build a company together around a particular thesis that you've identified in the market and we believe is a massive opportunity market, and we co-build the company together. I say much of what I've said in the last few minutes could equally apply to Cambridge and to Manchester and the other universities, and you'll be hearing later from myself, Andrew at CIC and Duncan at Northern Gritstone. I do want to emphasise this. The opportunity in this area from a university spin-out is a UK-wide opportunity. We have something really quite fundamentally exciting and attractive, we think, for CVCs. And so we we work very closely together, and we'll have an opportunity to talk more in about an hour, but we're all sat on something quite incredible, quite valuable, and all of us very keen to build our partnerships with the CVC community.